device mask. Obviously gloves. Your skin is actually a natural barrier. It will protect you, but if you had the slightest nick, cut, scrape, obviously you can be exposed. Plastic face shield, something that covers your eyes, nose, or mouth. Somebody hits an artery or something, you got blood squirting, spraying it everywhere, and if it gets in your eyes, nose, or mouth, obviously you can be exposed by those bodily fluids. Proper cleanup of bodily fluids is really important. If somebody, let's say, cut themselves and they get blood on the doorknob, if it's not properly cleaned up, you can still be exposed to stuff like hepatitis B, HIV for up to 7 days later. So you can just continue to get exposed to it if you don't properly clean it up. So bleach or a bleach solution that you make fresh daily, you have to spray it, let it sit on the surface for at least 2 minutes to kill viruses like HIV or hepatitis. Working with children, they pee, poo, vomit. You get any of those fluids on your clothes, good idea to bag them up, wash them separately from any of your other clothes. Your regular laundry detergent won't kill like HIV. You'd have to add bleach. It probably might ruin your clothes, but would kill any potential viruses. So that's really the gist of the HIV bloodborne pathogen. Just treat all people, all fluids as infectious, put something between you and them, and then proper clean up the bodily fluids. Bleach or bleach solution, let it sit. If you have a big pool of blood, I mean, you're not spraying the big pool of blood with bleach. You're soaking up the majority of it and then just spray and let the bleach sit for at least 2 minutes to kill any of those potential viruses. So, okay, any questions on first aid stuff? Like I said, the first aid stuff, a lot of it's common sense stuff. You're treating immediate life-threatening issues like, bleeding, but again, CPR, this is something too, it's immediate life-threatening. It's something that you have to start on immediately to get the best chance of survival. Brain damage occurs within about 6 minutes. Medics' response time, in this area is probably gonna be pretty quick, but 5 minutes. So it's absolutely vital to get started on your compressions as quick as possible to give them the best chance to come back without severe brain damage. So for CPR for adults, now, we do CPR on dead people. For basic CPR first aid, we do not teach you to check for pulses because oftentimes for the general public, it is hard to find pulses on somebody, especially if this person's dead or just practically dead. It'll be very hard to find a pulse. So you're just doing the shake and shout. Hey, you okay? You okay? You're looking for any signs of life. They're not responding to you. They're not talking. Baby's not crying. I always tell people too, pinch them on the arm. People react to pain. You go and pinch somebody, if they're alive, you're gonna get a reaction. And if not, you start pumping on their chest and you're not whacked up the side of the head after a couple compressions, probably a pretty good indication that something serious is going on here. So shake a shout, no signs of life. Have somebody call 911, get the first aid kit. They're going to get that first aid kit, call 911. By the time they get back, you'll be on the breathing part and they should have a barrier device. You all have barrier devices in your first aid kits, hopefully. Mm-hmm. So call 911, get the first aid kit, start on your compressions first thing. So for your compressions, you're going to the center of the chest, which is about nipple line. Now, nipple lines aren't always accurate. If you go underneath your armpit and you come straight across, this will be right where you need to be to start your compressions. Exact center of the chest, just the palm of your hand. 30 compressions for the adults. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Next is head tilt, chin lift, open airway. Leading cause of an airway of an unconscious person is your tongue. When you are unconscious, your tongue actually relaxes and flaps over the back of your airway. So just opening up their airway back enough will get the tongue out of the way, so then you can give your 2 breaths. So you get 2 big breaths back to your 30 compressions. 30 compressions, open airway, 2 big breaths. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Now with adults, when you're doing your compressions, you're compressing about 2 inches to 2.5 inches depth. Now when you are doing CPR on an actual person, it is almost impossible to tell that you've compressed 2 inches to 2.5 inches. When you practice on these mannequins, they light up here. You have to compress hard enough to get those 2 green lights. If you don't compress hard enough, you're gonna get a red light. So it's always better to compress too hard than not hard enough. Because when you're doing CPR, all you're doing is keeping from biological death occurring. So you're pumping their heart for them, and you're breathing, you're oxygenating blood. So you're keeping all the vital organs alive, so brain damage doesn't occur, and especially for adults. They're gonna have to have the medics come and shock their heart back into rhythm with the defibrillator. So always better to compress too hard than not hard enough. You might break their ribs. A lot of times you hear this crunchy crackling noise, it might be cartilage, but if you break their ribs, you gotta think of it this way. They're already dead, right? So dead is as worse as it gets. So now they're just dead with broken ribs. Not a big deal, it does happen. Maybe it's a senior, they're a little more frail. So you gotta look at it this way. So dead is as worse as it gets. Now they're just dead with broken ribs. The broken ribs, we can fix that later. Brain damage is not fixable. So just keep going, you didn't do anything wrong. Just keep doing your 30 compressions and 2 breaths until medics get here. It can get very tiring after a couple rounds, so it's good to switch off with somebody else who's certified, take turns, so you don't get overly exhausted. So, okay.